Iman and you can be worried at times. You could have Iman and you could struggle with anxiety at times. You know, why is it that if anxiety or struggles or, you know, if like distress was not a normal part of basically our human experience, why would the Prophet ﷺ give us, you know, teach us du'as to say and supplications to say when we are in times of distress? Why would we have that if it wasn't supposed to be something that we were going to feel or experience? You know, for example, we have the dua of Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum برحمتك أستغيث أصلح لي شأني كله ولا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين. And this is the one where this is the one where the Prophet ﷺ told us to say it in times of distress. You know, we call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you call him, you know, by his names and you say, oh self-sustaining or all-sustaining, you know, by your mercy, I seek your help. Take care of all my affairs, correct all my affairs, rectify them. And do not leave me to myself, even for a blink of an eye. The reason the scholars say this dua is so powerful is because you actually, in those moments, you are successful in that moment of saying that dua because you remembered your need for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And actually failure in life is when you forget your need for Allah and you think you're the one who is responsible for your own sustaining. And that's why we call upon him as the one who is self-sufficient, the one who is all-sustaining. He's the one who sustains everything. And you remember that you need him so much that you don't even want to be left without him for a blink of an eye. So this dua is so powerful. But how many of us, in times of distress, instead of judging yourself and beating yourself up for being anxious or being upset or being distressed, and then going into that spiral of what does it say about my iman? What does it say about my faith? I'm so weak. How many of you actually take the time? How many people go directly into dua? A lot of people forget that. They forget to go to dua because it's a muscle you have to build, right? It's a muscle you have to build to train yourself. You know how like, let me think of a good example for this. It's like when you're not feeling well physically, you remember, oh, let me go take an Advil. You have a headache. Usually we do this when it comes to physical issues, right? Oh, let me go, I feel dehydrated. Let me go drink water. Do you sit there and like beat yourself up for being dehydrated? Do you sit there and beat yourself up for having a headache? We don't. This is my biggest issue. It's like a pet peeve of mine, right? My professional pet peeve is the way we treat physical issues in comparison to psychological issues. It's because we give importance as a society to what is physical and measurable and seen rather than what is often unseen, right? Not something, you know, your psychological experience is not always measurable. It's not always something that can be physically, outwardly seen right away, right? Actually, why I developed the HOME method, the heart over mind to ego method, is because, and why I created the model where our entities are part of a psycho-spiritual system is why, because when I was pre-med first, before I switched to psychology, I was studying anatomy and I loved anatomy and I saw, wow, the way we understand the physical body is through systems. Did I say symptoms before? I said symptoms? No, I meant systems. So the way we understand our physical anatomy is through the various systems within the body. And I'm like, wow, we understand to study each system to understand the whole body. And then there are these aspects within us, like our spiritual heart, right? And the psychological capacities we have. Where in the body is your ego? Someone asked me that one time, right? Your nafs, but part of my approach in the heart over mind and ego method is to show that they are part of a system of their own, and which I define as a psycho-spiritual system, and that they interact with each other and that they have their own importance, even though they might not be as seen or measurable or tangible, but they affect how we function in the world, and we need to give that importance as well. But imagine if I wish we could function or interact with our psychological experience and our spiritual experience the way we interact with our physical experience. You have a physical wound? No problem. Go to the doctor. I don't feel well physically. What treatment approaches are there? Should I go make myself a tea? Should I go take some honey? Should I go actually book an appointment with a doctor? Should I, right? You try to take preventative measures so that you don't get sick. Same thing. We should have that non-stigmatizing approach when it comes to our psychological health. So how many of us can work on, next time I'm upset, I'm anxious, I'm going to train myself to make dua right away. And I'm going to try my hardest to skip the whole self-judgment. I'm just going to view it as a normal part of my experience, and I'm going to go right into making dua. I'm going to go right into making it the means, not the end. So in that moment, I talked about self-worship before. In that moment, what are you doing now? Who are you centering around? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not yourself, not your flaw, not you. So now even you become the means and not the end. Because you see, we were never designed to be the end. We were never designed to be the Rabb of ourselves, the Lord of ourselves. And actually, anytime you attempt to center your life around yourself, or to make yourself the end, or to treat yourself as a destination, whatever it is, your flaws, your good, anything within yourself, you make it the end, you make it the destination, you make it your center point, you're going to struggle. You are not designed to burden that responsibility that only a creator can burden. Only a creator has the capacity to take on. So a lot of people function in that place of trying to be the Lord of themselves. You know, Ibn Ata'Allah Iskandari, he talks about, rahimallah, he talks about, you know, this persistent need of the human being to always be in self-calculation mode. And self-calculation is basically what he calls tadbir. You're always in this state of like trying to maintain, plan, self-planning for yourself. And basically his big part of his work is silencing that for the sake of being illuminated. That illumination comes when you desist, or you stop this tendency to always self-calculate for yourself, where you put this burden on your mind to always be in calculation mode, always be in planning mode, where you're always in this tadbir mode. I gotta plan, I gotta think, I gotta, you know. And what that is that you really forgot how Allah has always taken care of you. You've forgotten, like you're in this moment where you're struggling, and then you actually are so disconnected from the fact that Allah is the one has always taken care of you. He's always sustained you. But when a struggle happens, when someone is going through that state of like they have a problem, what happens is they fixate on that problem, and they see how big their problem is, not how big Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, how great Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And so he says something really beautiful about how, like, if you reflect back on your life, you'll see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has always taken care of you up to this point.